Hey everybody, it's Phillip Flippo with the Alaska Frontier, and today we're going to take you on a little seaside adventure my wife and I did last year. See some glaciers, wildlife, and adventure. Our trip started in the beautiful and bustling oceanside harbor in Seward, Alaska. We would be taking a ship to go out to the incredible Kenai Fjords National Park. But before we departed, there was a lot of things to see just in the harbor itself. We saw this nice harbor seal laying on its back, enjoying the sunshine. In fact, the harbor area brings in a lot of different types of fish and other food sources for animals, including this elegant pelagic cormorant, whom we saw swimming and diving after small fish over and over. Although we saw a number of other animals in the harbor, our favorites were probably the harbor seals, as they were so curious and wanted to come up close to us. Eventually our ship did arrive, and we departed to the world-famous Spire Cove. Here, waves and glaciers over thousands of years have made quite the landscape. Us and our fellow shipmates really stared in awe at these amazing structures created by nature, including the sea caves that surrounded us. From the beautiful emerald waters down below to the very tops of the rocks coated in vegetation and trees, it was really something to behold. After we all had a few minutes to really take it all in, it was time to head to our next destination. We were headed to Aialik Glacier, the largest glacier in Aialik Cove. I personally was really excited to be here because I wanted to see a glacier calve for the first time in my life. We were told that May and June are the best times to see this happen, and we happened to be going in mid to late May. Not only was the excitement of potentially getting to see the glacier calve on the horizon, but it was also an area home to many seals and hopefully whales. As we drew in closer and closer to the glacier, we kept our eyes on the shores looking for bears as well. Although there was a lot to potentially see around us, looking back to this massive glacial face was really stunning and something I hadn't quite experienced before. I had seen other glaciers, but nothing this huge. When the glacier calves, it forms sea pack, which the seals use to keep themselves safe from predators. But not one moment later.
Yes.
That's what we want to see.
We saw the same humpback whale surface several times, and it was always exciting. It was right about this time that we realized there was something special happening with this whale. They seemed to be sticking close to the surface and coming up to breathe over and over again. Not only that, but we could see that they were just bobbing up and down just beneath the waves. As we all looked on, the captain of the boat educated us that this was a behavior called logging. When larger whales like the humpback whale need to rest after feeding, they will exhibit this behavior, which can last between 5 minutes and 2 hours. So instead of just a few seconds with our friend, we got a few minutes. It was so interesting to get to see their gigantic silhouettes right underneath the surface, and then get to see their interesting heads when they would pop up. In total, we probably got about 15 minutes with this whale, and it was really amazing. But they got the rest they needed, and it was time for them to move along. However, before we could even say our goodbyes, somebody pointed out something was happening. Something loud. So as quickly as we could, we all tried to get to the other side of the boat. It was loud, something akin to a gunshot, and we looked everywhere. But there it was, my first calving glacier. We were all so excited that we had to stand back and look again at this massive glacier in front of us. And it was about this time that a new realization came to me. If we wanted to capture the glacier calving more than once, we had to scan the entire glacier and hope that we might be looking at the right place at the right time. So we took it slow, panning across the glacier and hoping to catch the moment. A second time in one day? How fantastic! Sometimes we would see a piece of ice fall or hear a loud sound and glance over, only to see that something small happened. But sometimes, if you waited and were patient, something more might happen. It may not seem like it, but each time one of these glaciers was calving, many tens of thousands of tons of ice was falling off the side. Just look at this small cruise ship and the scale of the glacier behind it. It was time for us to leave this second amazing destination to move on to our third. But before we could leave, we saw something on the shore. When people first started pointing, I thought it was just a black rock, before I realized that it was a black bear. We watched them cruise the beach, probably moving from one hunting ground to the next. And we were moving out as well. We would be headed out towards the farthest point on our journey, in the deepest ocean areas in the Kenai Fjords National Park. So we got one last look at this giant towering glacier before we were off. And once we hit the open ocean, we got a few new visitors, the Dall's porpoise. Now they're very hard to see, and so we had to be quick. Catching even a glimpse of these speedy animals was a treat. We then had to whip our camera around as somebody shouted in the distance, and then we saw orcas. This part of the adventure was fairly chaotic as the boat was moving, the animals were appearing and disappearing quickly, and people were all bumping into each other, just trying to get a glimpse of what was happening around the other corner. Then after about 45 minutes, we reached our next destination, and we entered the realm of the stellar sea lions. Now, for the rest of this video, we're going to talk quite a lot about the sea lions. Here in Alaska, they live very interesting lives because they are opportunistic predators. They go to where the food is, and so here out in the open ocean, that means all kinds of things. They eat fish, squid, octopus, and almost anything they can get their flippers on. Only the walrus and the 2 species of elephant seals grow larger than these fellows. Leaving their kingdom would mark the end of our little adventure here in the Kenai Fjords National Park, but several months later we decided to follow the sea lions and see what they were up to. We heard word that they were traveling to Valdez for a very special time of the year. So we packed up our gear and drove the long but beautiful drive to Valdez, Alaska. Now, this next location might seem a little strange, especially if you've never been here, but the Solomon Gulch Fish Hatchery attracts a tremendous number of sea lions. It was built back in 1981, and it is the largest single-species salmon hatchery in North America. So this means that while they incubate hundreds of thousands to millions of salmon as juveniles, they receive millions upon millions of returning adult salmon to spawn. And all of those returning fish attract the attention of brown bears, black bears, and of course, sea lions. In fact, the sea lions leave their wide ocean home specifically to come inland to feed. And although they follow the salmon all the way upstream, here at the hatchery, it's a smorgasbord. So throughout the day, the sea lions slowly climb up and over the barrier here at the hatchery. Because not only must they climb up and over the barrier, but the salmon will be forced to as well. You can see everybody moving into their own special little spots, just waiting for the salmon to arrive. But finding a good fishing spot here at the hatchery also probably means defending that spot. So just look what happens when there's a dispute over a meal. In all of the fighting, one of the sea lions drops the salmon, and now everybody's on high alert trying to find it again. It looks like this juggling act is not going well, and tensions are high. But in a split-second lunge, one of them grabs their prey, much to the dismay of the others. A meal well fought and well earned. Competition might be just a little too fierce here at the barrier, so after everybody catches 1 or 2 fish, it's time to move further upstream. It was amazing to see 30 or 40 of these gargantuan animals all move from one place to the next, literally traversing an environment they are not well suited for. But they know the salmon run is not forever, and they must feed now. So one by one, or in small groups, they all waddle upstream. Each one of them must catch up to 30 fish before the end of the day, and so that means staying on the move. Upstream, the sea lions use several different hunting tactics, but by far their favorite is standing in the middle of the river and plunging their head underneath. This way they avoid all competition from their land-based predators, the bears. And after a long day of fishing and giving us the side eye, it was time to say goodbye to our sea lion friends. Once again, we here at the Alaska Frontier really hoped you enjoyed this video and another Alaskan adventure. Our YouTube channel is relatively new, and we'd really appreciate it if you'd like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, Alaska loves you.